¿Qué tal, comunidad? Aquí habla su abogado Ray Ybarra Maldonado. We are going to talk about what President Trump said today. If you're interested in hearing an immigration attorney's perspective, who often does cases in our office, does a lot of cases on asylum, credible fear, reasonable fear, dealing with folks coming on the border, and finding out just how much misinformation, the proper term to use, was spewed today by President Trump. I ask you to please tune in. If you can give us a like, give us a share so other people who might be interested in learning whether or not their president went on air today and told outright lies in order to simply gather his base to go to the polls and vote for his party, then share this video so that they can be informed about the reality of what's happening in the immigration system and the lies that President Trump put forth today. So give me a like, give me a share. Let me know you're watching. Appreciate everybody with a thumbs up already. We're going to go straight into this. I wasted, I don't know how many minutes of my life today listening to President Trump spew hatred. He wasn't talking about policies. He wasn't talking about correct facts. He was just spewing hatred so that he can get his base to go out and vote for the Republican Party because he feels, and the Republican Party feels, that they're at a loss. That come Tuesday, they're going to lose control of the House, lose control of the Senate, and what they're doing is just trying to light the fire. He figured, hey, I got in with talking about the wall and building the wall and building the wall, so let me talk some more about immigration and try to piss people off even more, which will get them to the polls on Tuesday. Now, I took some notes here while I was painfully watching what Trump was saying. And the first thing that he was going off on a rant on is that they have to come in on merit. That we want them to be merit-based system for them to come in. And that's something he proposed along with getting rid of some of the family-based visa categories and allowing people who have DACA to have a more permanent form of DACA, was this whole merit-based system. Well, from my opinion, if someone's willing to travel across Guatemala, travel across Mexico with a child in their hands, nothing but a backpack, and walk for months on end, if not weeks at least, to get to the United States of America, doesn't that one person show great merit? Doesn't that show great promise? More so than someone who is born into privilege and gets to go to get an education and has all their tutoring and schooling paid for and has their degrees. Kudos to you. That's what you should have done because you were put on the path to success and you should have followed that path. And there's other people who are born into poverty, born with not a lot, and make something of themselves. And they show their merit, they show their grit, and willing to walk for weeks on end with your children in order to find a better life for yourselves and for them. To me, merits me wanting to live next door to you, me wanting to be your neighbor, me wanting to work with you, me wanting to build a country, a democracy with you. That's merit, Mr. Trump. He also goes on a rant about best economy ever. We have the best economy ever. We have so many people employed right now. The economy is so great. Guess who you can owe a lot of that to, Mr. Trump? Immigrants who come in to work at your hotel, to work in the fields, to do construction jobs so people can afford houses. So we're able to have an economy that can grow, a service-based economy, working here in Arizona in our hotels, on our landscaping, to make sure that we have a beautiful city that people want to come and visit. These are the individuals who are trying to come across here to make a better life for themselves and their children. Now, he says that they should apply. They should get in line and apply. Again, there is no merit-based application to show how hard a worker they are, how great they'd be to the economy. And they have one way to apply, Mr. Trump. That way is to cross Mexico, come to the port of entry, and ask for asylum. And that's what they're trying to do. So what you're saying they should do is what they're actually doing. They're going to the port of entry to present themselves to make their cases for asylum. Now, what I think was the biggest lie, and what he kept going back and forth on during his speech today, was the fact that people do not show up at their courts, that people just don't go and follow through with their case. He kept rambling. And it's like, please throw out a number, because you know you're lying. And he eventually throws out 3%. That 3% of people actually show up at their trial. That's incredible. It's incredible to believe that he can get on international TV, go live, and dispute things that are factually incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. And I can prove it to you. Look at this, actual facts and numbers. So let's go through this. Majority of undocumented immigrants show up for court, data shows. So this was a comment by Wolf Blitzer. Most immigrants do show up for court, and they're fact checking to see if it's true or not. So this article goes through and essentially shows that no, Mr. Trump, it is not even close to 3% that do not show up at their hearings. And I'll post a link here down below so you can read the whole thing whenever you have time. It does go through talking about the in absentia orders, which is, in absentia order means you have a scheduled immigration court hearing date, you don't show up for it, so you're ordered removed in absentia without your presence. So you didn't show up to your court and you're ordered removed. So there are people who get in absentia removal hearings for non-detained in cases completed, 39% in fiscal year 2016, 24% in fiscal year 12. So they're not anywhere near the 3% not showing up as President Trump was claiming. And it's even better data when you look at the asylum individuals, when you break it down even more. Several experts have emphasized that using monitoring devices and providing immigrants with legal counsel correlated with higher attendance. I will certainly vote for the latter, and I'll give you an explanation why. Let's take a look. I want to zoom in a little bit more on this one. See if I can get it in over here. At these individuals talking about an actual program that was put together by the Obama administration. So as of April, the Family Case Management Program had 630 enrolled families. So an Obama-era program that released asylees from detention, matched them with case managers who encouraged compliance with the court-ordered obligations. So the Trump administration obviously ended this program in June, didn't want to providing any help to people who were trying to leave fear and violence. But before that, participants had 100% attendance at court hearings. 100% showed up for their hearings when they were given someone who could guide them to what they had to do and where they had to be. Oftentimes we see folks coming across the border in fear of their life, people who don't even speak Spanish. They're from Guatemala, Honduras, sometimes Mexico. They speak the indigenous language of where they're from, and they don't even speak Spanish. I can't even directly speak with them. These individuals are handed a paper in English and told to show up at their next court hearing, and the information's on the paper. Some of these in absentia orders, and nowhere near 3%, but come from the fact that someone doesn't know how to read what they were given, that someone wasn't told. You think ICE is going to sit there and take the time and politely spell everything out to where they have to be next? No, ICE is trying to be as rude as they can and get rid of them as fast as they possibly can. But here you have a program where you're able to match families with people who can translate and provide guidance. 100% show up at their hearings. So we're having skewed numbers because we have people who lack the information to actually succeed and make it to their court hearings. We're seeing this recently as well. We're seeing a lot of individuals who are dropped off by ICE at churches around the valley and not having a clue what they're supposed to do next. One theory is the Trump administration is wanting all these people to miss their hearings, miss their court dates, so they can simply throw the numbers up and President Trump can continue to talk about people not showing up at their court hearings. And there's no system in place to match them long-term with an attorney, with a nonprofit, with a church, so that they can be mentored throughout the process and make sure they show up at their court hearings. Regardless, it's nowhere near 3%, even with all the issues that are occurring right now. I'll get some of your comments in here before I go on. I want to say, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Lies, all lies. That's the best. We just summarize it with that. Lies, all lies. No one travels over 2,000 miles on foot without a really good reason or running for their lives. We want people like that. That is a meritocracy. Amen. 199% agree with that. So here we have also Trump administration saying that the Democrats want them to come in for free healthcare, education, and so that they can vote. It's obviously clear, folks. President Trump simply wants to agitate his base so they can come out and vote. Don't believe the hype. He also talked about the military coming down to the border. Yes, they're doing it. Yes, he's wasting all that money and sending the troops down there simply as a political ploy to create a chaotic disaster situation where there isn't even one. There's not going to be a scene like Born East LA where thousands of people rush down the hill and try to run over the Border Patrol agent. It is not going to happen. What you're going to see is what you're seeing now, people coming up to the border, sleeping at the port of entry, waiting to take their turn to come in and apply for asylum. Now, the Trump administration wants to build up tents so people can go and be housed in the tents and not be able to get out pending their case. And that's what they're trying to set up. And that's what they will set up. And we'll see how that holds up, especially if there's children involved and the Flores decision as far as Trump not being able to keep children in there for longer than 21 days. This, my friends, is the beginning of the political season and using immigrants to scapegoat for the election on Tuesday. And I expect to see them day in and day out from now until Tuesday just to keep hitting immigration. Their fear is we're losing. Fear is they're going down. Immigration, immigration, immigration is the only way to keep that from happening. And I don't see anything horrible coming out in the next few days that isn't anything different than what they've already said, but they're going to continue to pound it and they're going to continue to throw it in our face. We saw the ad from President Trump featuring the man who killed 2 police officers in California. Even Senator Flake, ex-Senator Flake, came out and said, Senator Flake said he was appalled at that ad and wanted them to take it down. We'll see if that ends up happening as well. But it's clear again, folks, President Trump is just doing the work of his party. Now, don't be fooled into thinking that it's also easy to come across and get asylum. Credible fear is what people have to show in order to be sent to see an immigration judge. Here's a definition straight from the INA, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act. Immigration and Nationality Act says credible fear of persecution defined. For the purpose of this subparagraph, the term credible fear of persecution means that there is a significant possibility, taking into account the credibility of the statements made by the alien in support of the alien's claim and such other facts as are known to the officer, that the alien could establish eligibility for asylum under Section 208. Now, why is this important? Because President Trump is saying, I'll take this off for a minute, President Trump is saying that immigration attorneys like myself, dirtyimmigrationlawyers.com, are saying, here's your magic words to say, and you'll be able to stay in the country. Not how it works. I can't simply tell someone, here's the magic words, and you're going to get released on bond. However, if someone expresses a fear of returning to their country of origin, they're supposed to then be processed by an asylum officer, not language that we attorneys give to an asylum officer to make an adjudication. The asylum officer then interviews the person, gets their entire story, and must determine if there's a significant possibility, taking into account the credibility of the statements. So there is no magic language that will allow you to pass this interview. So again, what happens is you say you have a fear, you're afraid. You get an interview with a trained asylum officer. The trained asylum officer determines if you have a significant possibility or not. If you don't, you can ask the judge to review that. If you do, you get the right to see the judge. and fight your case for asylum, withholding, Convention Against Torture. That's how it works. There's already a process in place to screen claims out that do not have a significant possibility of ever getting asylum in the first place. So it's put in place already so that there are checks and balances on the system to make sure people are having meritorious claims brought before the immigration judge. That's what we're seeing today, folks. It's crazy, it's insane. Also, the birthright citizenship, we talked about that a little bit earlier, and he's going to announce more on Sunday. I do not believe, it is of my opinion, he will not release an executive order on birthright citizenship because it won't stand a chance of winning. He's only doing that to drum up his base, to get out the vote, to get people, get the Republicans continue to have majority of power, and then blame everything on the Democrats. A sad, sad day when what we see in our country is simply an issue being exploited that will harm folks, that will demonize folks, that will turn the country against immigrants, against people of color, simply to allow his party to remain in power. It's about power, it's about privilege, and they're exploiting immigrants, they're exploiting people of color to keep that power. I think it's disgusting. I think it's politics in America, and this is what turns people off about it, because it's politicians simply staying in power for the sake of staying in power and demonizing an entire group of people in the process, but they don't care because they want to maintain their power and maintain the status quo. That's all that we're seeing here, folks. No crisis on the border, no need for military, no need to drastically change immigration or make any other changes. Doing with asylum. Is there drastic need for asylum, for immigration overhaul? Yes. Did I talk with someone today? He's been here 20 years, has U.S. citizen kids, and has done nothing wrong and should have at least a work permit? Yes, I did. Did I talk to someone who was afraid of their life and doesn't want to return their country of origin? They should be able to stay here, and Trump's trying to make it harder? Yes, that happened as well. So day in and day out, our laws are a wreck. They need to be changed, but not in the manner in which President Trump is going to change them or is trying to change them. I'm sorry for going on my rant. Just wanted to get that out because I was listening to that speech he was doing. It was absolutely horrible and horrific. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. We've gotten a lot of calls on the public charge, public benefits issue. Still happy to address that as well. We've also gotten calls about how we're going to vote and what we're going to vote for. Absolutely 100% encourage you to drop that down in the comments. If you have any questions about anybody, we have an army of people here who are voters or who want to vote. And a lot of our friends too are happy to, I'm sure, provide their input on the propositions and all those different things. The important thing is that we do get out there and vote and don't allow President Trump agitating his base of the far right to get out and simply vote R all the way down the ballot because they're afraid of this mass invasion caravan that's coming across the border. The best response that we can do is to get out there, get the vote out on Tuesday for the people that Trump wants in office, and we need to make sure that they don't get a chance to get into office, and we need to keep pushing forward to make sure that our voices are heard and change the political rhetoric away from demonizing and putting immigrants in a corner for them to be the scapegoats of our problems, of our alleged amazing economy that we have. And I guess we need to complain about something, so it's going to complain about immigrants and not recognize the fact that they do contribute to this economy. So if you have any questions in the future on that issue, on either of these two issues, feel free to drop them down below. I want you all to have a great week and look forward to talking to you next week, more than likely sooner. October 31st came and went. We didn't see anything from the Ninth Circuit on the DACA decision. Supposedly now the Trump administration is going to go forward and appeal directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's the deadline that they gave to the Ninth Circuit to issue a decision. I didn't see anything on that either as well, but for sure we'll keep you updated if something happens on that end. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend, and make sure to keep pushing everybody that you know, friends, family, anybody else, get out there and vote on Tuesday or get the early ballot delivered in if they haven't done that already. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.